Welcome to Best Kept Secrets Travel, episode 35. My name's Morgan.
And my name's Will. And on today's episode, we are doing part 2 of our interview with Megan and Rachel, who you met in previous episode. Part 1. And that was all about farming and bananas. And this is weird and wacky with lots of funny stories.
Different places.
Especially if you're a female traveller. This is a great episode to just learn about safety and travel.
And what happens if you do get robbed?
Yeah. They get robbed. And you've got to listen to this episode to find out how.
Roll the intro.
Best friends, and that's for life. Who stay traveling? I'm talking worldwide. 65 countries between the two. Every moment is so unbelievable. Sharing the best kept secrets about the trips and mistakes they made that they can't forget. So tell me if you're ready for a time to remember as they gear up for the next adventure. Yeah. Woo! Best kept secrets travel.
We'll move on to the next country now, even though I'm sure there's actually quite a lot more that we could talk about Australia. We might have to do another episode before Will dies. Is one of my favourite countries to visit, as you can see how he's looking at me, is Vietnam. And one of my favourite places I visited was Phong Nha. Yeah. And I gather you've been.
We have.
We have been. It was so much fun.
And you enjoyed it. What did you do when you were out there? I did sort of crazy fox, like caving, going around on motorbikes, seeing lots of waterfalls. What sort of things did you get up to?
Yeah, so we hired drivers for the motorbikes, so because we didn't trust ourselves to do it ourselves.
I think it made it 10 times more fun.
Of these bikes, and yeah, it was.
It made it so much more fun.
Take pictures of the scenery and stuff,
because they were going so much faster than we would have done, and driving down roads that we never would have been able to drive down. But it just made it 10 times more fun.
Oh my god, no! Yeah, and then we went to the dark cave, which to get to you had to go on a zip wire. And then, you went through, and there was, this massive mud bath that you, went into, and then you had to shower off afterwards that was from, a little waterfall in the cave. And then, when you left the cave, there was, a total wipeout, a salt course on the river that you could, canoe past or, actually go on. It was really, really
amazing.
Cool.
Did you go on it?
No, I don't think it was a thunderstorm when we were there.
Absolutely chucking it down.
Yeah, so we had to kayak.
Yeah, it was there when we came down on the zip wire, but they'd closed it off when we came out of the cave. But when we left the cave, we went straight to the duck stop, didn't we?
Mhm. Yeah.
Yeah, which is where we were throwing. We were throwing ducks into a pond. Literally eating these ducks across the pond.
Well, we got there and there was loads of puppies running around, and then there was some little Vietnamese girls that they were asking us to teach them words in English. So they'd point to something, we'd tell them the word and they'd try and spell it and write it out. So we did that for a bit, and then they gave us amazing Vietnamese food. That was peanut wraps.
I had no idea what the food was, but it was so good.
Yeah, and then then he took us to this
it was
massive
a pancake thing.
But was it not peanut sauce that we dipped the pancakes
it was
in?
Peanut sauce, but I can't remember what the actual. Yeah, but I don't know what the actual pancakey things were.
No, I don't know.
It was an omelette pancake thing. I don't know.
But yeah,
really
and then we got
good,
taken to this
really good.
this big pen that probably had 100 ducks in it, and he would give you food, the man, and you had to run around the pen, and all the ducks would follow behind you, and then he made you put the food in your hands and then in your feet, so you had to cup your feet, and he would put food in it, and then all the ducks would eat out of your feet, and it was the most. I'm not that ticklish. But it was the most horrendously ticklish thing. We were screaming because we were laughing so hard. It was horrendous, but it was so funny. Yeah, and then he gave us a duck, and we just had to throw a duck into a pond.
Yeah.
And then we
And
rode
then
a
he took
water
us over
buffalo.
to like one of the fields that they have. Yeah. And we rode the water buffalo, which was called Donald Trump. And when we asked him why it was called Donald Trump, he just turned around and goes, "Because he's full of shit."
Yep.
It sounds like the weirdest experience when you say it out loud, but it was so much fun.
Have you said it out loud before?
Yeah. You're trying to explain it to people who've like never been traveling. You just don't understand.
I feel like it's
Did
one of those
anyone get
places,
any
if you haven't
photos or
been, you don't
videos of
get
this?
it.
We've got
Oh,
we've got
loads.
loads of photos and videos.
Yeah.
Of the duck
Yeah.
eating out your feet?
Yeah.
Yes.
I definitely want to see that.
So,
fun.
how many ducks did you throw?
Just one.
And were they
One
okay?
each.
Yeah, they flew.
They,
Oh, just
they can
just
fly.
you
Of
just
course they were okay.
What's
I just found
Have
the
you found
water
the photo?
buffalo.
Donald Trump?
Donald Trump.
Fongnar's
God.
quite an interesting place because I don't think that many people know about it, and it's very pretty.
No.
And there's not much there. Well, it's kind of just one street
Yeah.
when you're there.
The only reason
did you go out?
heard about it.
Yeah, how did you find it?
My stepbrother
Oh.
went. So my stepbrother went traveling like a few years back, before we did. And when I said that we were going to Vietnam, he was like, "Oh, make sure you go to Phong Nha and like do the dark cave." I don't think he did the duck stop, but he like suggested doing like going to Phong Nha, so that's why we went. I just took his word for it being great.
And there was that
And he was right.
Yeah, and there was that
And
night.
he was
it,
right.
Like the nightclub. There was like a weird nightclub in the
Oh
middle
yeah,
of
the
nowhere.
one nightclub.
Like one nightclub.
Oh my god,
Yeah.
And
we
the
went
cows.
to the nightclub as well, and when we left, there was just cows everywhere. And then, like, in the middle of the road, there was like this little grass verge, and there was a cow like there and a cow there, and in between them, there was this girl getting like a shoulder massage from this random guy,
By the cow.
surrounded by
In the middle
cows.
of the
Surrounded by cows.
I don't think you could make that up.
No,
No,
it was. I think I have a picture of the cows as
That
well
was funny.
somewhere.
Amazing. I went to that club. How did you get to the club?
It was like 3 doors down from our hostel,
like
wasn't
Yeah.
it?
So for me, it was a
Yeah.
bit further down, but it was along the road. And there was like, they told everyone in the hostel we're going to that bar, and they got us, there were just little kids, like 10, 11, 12-year-old kids outside on their scooters, and they just told us to get on the back of the scooters. And these kids, like, were so young, and they just rode us down to the club. And when you turned up at the club, what did you think of the outside? What it looked like?
it kind of looked like,
I
I
mean,
don't know, it didn't look
it
like
was
it was a
really,
club, that's for sure. It just kind of looked like a
No.
brick wall with a door on it.
but it was always really busy.
It was
when
just
we
like a brick
went.
wall with a door.
Yeah, I think the
Yeah.
fact that there was so many people there made it a bit less creepy. Whereas, like, if there was nobody there, it would look like somewhere you'd go to get
Yeah, 'cause-
murdered.
Yeah,
When
'cause
I
we
turned
would, like,
up-
leave with everyone from our hostel, and then it'd be like 25 people that had all turned up at once. So
So did I, but I was the first to get on the moped, and because there couldn't be many people on the moped, I was
course
the
you were.
first person to turn up, and I was like, "Am I going to get
God.
murdered?"
Yeah,
all the cows.
It was-
I found the cows. Yeah, but
Sorry.
that was
She sent the cows.
the one. The thing that I found with Phong Na is we didn't stay in like, there was like our hostel, the party hostel, and then a bit further up the road was the nightclub. And they said when we got there, because we got the night bus, we got there in the middle of the night, and our hostel would let people in, but the party hostel it wouldn't. So loads of people just had to sleep on like sun lounges and stuff by the pool because they weren't letting people check in. So that's advice for Phang Na, is don't stay in the party hostel, stay in the one next door, because then you'll actually get to check in and get into a bed, even if it's like 3 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah.
That's quite good advice.
That's good.
How long
Traveller's
did you
tip.
spend in Vietnam?
2 weeks.
2 weeks. Yeah.
2 weeks. Where else did you go? What were the highlights?
So we started in in Hanoi,
Hanoi.
and then went to
Yeah,
Halong
that's
Bay.
north.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, did the like Halong Bay boat trip, which was so much fun. Like we didn't do like a party boat trip. We just kind of did like
We did like a middle-aged couples.
It was like loads of
boat
middle-aged
trip.
people.
Yeah.
But,
Were you a
but then there were
middle-aged
these
couple?
two people
We
that
were.
were about there were these two people that were like around our age though, and one of them was like a professional, like like
She's-
Strictly Come Dancing, the dancers on there. She does that, but in like Denmark,
She won it.
which is really random. But yeah,
You won it.
Yeah.
She
Fine.
won it. Like the year after we got back, we were suddenly just like, she's just won Strictly. Like,
yeah,
yeah, it was really random.
mad.
Yeah, and then there was like, some like an
um,
Australian couple that were giving us advice on like
"We're
where to go in
fishing."
Australia. Yeah. Oh, and the only
I
time
caught
me and Megan
squid
have
when we were
ever
on the boat.
and it's the only time me and Megan have ever like really come close to falling out was when we were in a canoe or kayak
Yeah.
or whichever one it
You
was,
say.
and we were literally on the verge of screaming at each other, which never happens. We couldn't go in a straight line. We just kept going like that.
Yeah, they were inviting everyone to look at this really cool cave when they were canoeing, and we were just like, we can't even go in a straight line. How are we meant to go in and out of this cave that you're not meant to like fully go inside?
It was so bad. And they attached us to the
Oh my
boat
goodness.
and pulled us back to shore because we were so bad. They were just like, we're not even going to bother trying to get
We
you to
were
go
that
back. We're just going to tow you. Yeah, it was bad. It was bad.
Oh my goodness.
Oh, it was so
So-
funny though.
So clearly, you guys have done a lot of travelling together, and we've just spoken a little bit about there. But what sort of advice would you give someone for when they're travelling in a pair, not as a couple, but they're travelling in a pair in not killing each other?
I think you've just got to know when each other needs their own space and their own time.
Yeah. You can't.
Like knowing when
Expect-
to be like,
yeah.
I need a bit of time alone.
You can't expect to get on the whole time.
Yeah.
Like, we're
No.
really lucky because obviously we lived together at uni and spent a lot of time together then, before we went travelling. But then, and we've never had any falling outs or anything. But you can't, when you're in a situation like that,
No.
especially if you end up in like a stressful situation, you can't expect to be fine the whole time. Like, you're gonna have moments of friction, but it's just how you deal with it, and whether or not you sort of confront it head on,
Yeah.
or you sort of leave it just to settle. Because sometimes you've had like 3 hours sleep and you're expected to catch a flight, and you show up at the airport and the other person's got the day wrong. And how you react to that can determine a friendship.
It was the
Which
day
may
before, not the day after the flight. I just want to put that out there.
Yeah, but
Which flight, when, where, how?
we were in Vietnam.
So it was actually.
It was
and we
leaving
were heading to
Vietnam.
Bali.
Yeah, and we got to the airport the
And
day
basically,
before.
we went to the airport. Yeah,
And
we
the
went
woman-
to check in, and the woman was like, "Oh, I can't find you on the flight." And I was like, "No, we're definitely booked on for this flight." And then she found it, and she was like, "Oh, I've just worked out why I couldn't find you on it." And we were like, "Oh, why?" And she goes, "Because it's tomorrow."
No.
It was the
Yep.
exact same flight, but the day after.
So we
were
had to
like,
book an emergency
"Oh,
hotel
shit,
room
we need to find
stay in
somewhere
for the
to stay."
night. Yeah, but it's fine. We went and watched Jurassic World at the cinema to pass the time
In Vietnam.
in Vietnam. We were like, we had all our luggage. Like, we had all of our stuff. We had nowhere to stay. And so we were just like, let's just go to the cinema for a few hours. Yeah.
Were they showing it in English?
It had, yeah. It was in English, but had like Vietnamese subtitles, which was fine.
Yeah. We went to the
I
cinema
guess
in every country we went to, actually.
We did, yeah.
I'm surprised
Why?
I haven't done that.
Because we love the cinema.
What's the? I have Odeon
Yeah.
Oh.
Limitless.
I used to work at
Oh,
Odeon and get free films. An early release, so I'd watch them before the public.
Okay, that's pretty cool. So
Back on track with travelling.
if something goes wrong, what is the best way to fix it, and how did you sort of, well, not fall apart and break down? Well, you may have done, but just how did you find a solution to that issue that was potentially avoidable?
That one, we just kind of had to laugh about it.
Yeah, we did just laugh.
There wasn't much we could do.
No,
It
and
was
it was
funny.
funny. Like, yeah, it was funny. But that, like, if it's a more serious one, I think allow yourself to have a bit of time where you do break down. Like, don't try and hold it together because you're just going to make it worse.
Yeah.
But then, sort of, once you've had that, like, emotional release, try and sort of level your head a bit and actually work out a plan as to how to deal with the situation and where you need to go, what you need to do. See if you can find someone who can help. Just try and stay calm.
I think, definitely staying calm and making sure that you don't, like, blame each other. You can only sort of support each other in that kind of situation. Like, there was nothing to blame for when we were in Bali, but, like, obviously Vietnam, it was fully my fault that we turned up early for the airport. But at the same time, that was just funny and we could just laugh that off.
Yeah. Whereas, getting...
She was just like in her head. The first time she publicly admitted that.
Like, finally. No, it was... I just remember her turning around to me and being like, thank God you find this funny. I was like, it's funny, like, it's fine. But yeah, when you get sort of attacked in Bali and a lot of your possessions stolen, it's less easy to find the funny side.
Including a passport.
Including a passport, including a bank card.
We may need a little bit more on that.
That is our next question, which is, as female travellers, has there been any time that you've been particularly scared or robbed?
Yes.
Or just lost something?
Yes.
Do both.
Fantastic.
Moving on.
Next question.
We were in
Story time?
Bali.
Thank you.
We'd just been...
Bali.
We just met some friends and gone to like a bar place, and we're trying to find, and we're heading back, and basically we couldn't like find signal on the phone or get internet or anything, so we'd started walking up to a place where we knew we could get a signal, and basically these men on bikes, we're doing the whole, do you want taxi? Do you want transport? Like, where do you want to go? Sort of situation. We kept telling them no.
And there were two guys on the bike.
Yeah, there was 2 on the bike. They drove off.
Yeah, there were 2 guys on the bike, and they were like, "Oh, one by one, one by one."
Yeah, which meant obviously we'd split
So
up.
as in like, one of us get on and wait, and yeah.
Yeah, so they drove off. We kept walking, and basically they like looped around and tried to grab Megan, but she just coincidentally sort of tripped at the same time they tried to grab her, so she was out of the way. And so they grabbed me, and by like trying to pull me onto the bike, I pulled back and they just ripped my bag off my shoulder, which had my passport, my bank card. I mean, in hindsight, it was my own fault because I had my passport, but we'd just gotten to the place where we were staying. So I'd had it in my bag to sort of check into the hostel, hadn't thought to take it out whilst we've gone out. And then, so yeah, they got my bag. I sort of like fell in a ditch because I'd like pulled back. Yeah, so it wasn't fun. And we were like running after them, screaming like, "You can have it all, I just need my passport." But they didn't care.
Yeah.
Funny that.
And then these 3 people came along on motorbikes afterwards and like took us back to our hostel. They were really nice. They kind of said
because they'd heard us screaming.
When you get back, like talk to the person that owns your hostel. Make sure that like you get a police report filled out, because otherwise they were like, you won't be able to get an emergency passport. And so like we got back to the hostel and we did like break down and cry because it was horrible.
It was it was also like 3 o'clock in the morning. So like there was nobody in the hostel but the security guy who didn't speak any English, who was just there to sort of make sure everything was fine. And we were just sort of crying in the communal area. Like calling our mums, like
but I think
not knowing what to do. We were.
But I think after that we were quite level-headed about it. Like we, the bank card thing, we got Rachel to cancel all of her bank cards straight away. Like I had like a post office like currency card with me. So I was like, all you have to do is like transfer money onto that, and you can use that as like a card in the meantime until like you go home and get yours. And then my stepdad, when he went traveling to Peru, his passport and everything got stolen. So he had like explained to me that they'd had to go and get an emergency one and stuff like that. So I kind of knew what we had to do for that.
Sorry. And the woman who was running the hostel, she was French, but she spoke fluent English and fluent Indonesian. So she like came to the police station with us because she said, she was like, if you don't speak their language, they just will not see you. Like they just don't even bother giving you the time of day. So she came with us and like helped get us a police report and everything. And yeah, we just had to go to the embassy. I had photocopies of my passport because my mother is a avid worrier and over preparer, and so I had like 4 photocopies of my passport.
I had them as well.
Because we had to provide. Obviously, we got to the embassy. You had to provide proof of who you were, but obviously I didn't have any, and so like without my photocopies, like they probably wouldn't have let me in the embassy. Because that was it. They'd taken my driver's license. Oh, I thought they had my driver's license, but then it was only like a few days later I found out that my driver's license had been in another bag. So I did technically still have ID, but I just didn't know that at the time. But yeah, so we just had to sort it all out of the embassy, and it was a massive pain in the arse. But it meant I still could go travelling. Because we had to fill out so many different forms.
And it did kind of like make us scared to go anywhere else after that.
Yeah.
Like
we left.
I'd have kind of loved to have gone to. Like we didn't get to go to like Uluwatu or that kind of thing. Like we never got to go to those places because we were just too scared.
Yeah, and literally like a day later.
And also we had to go to the embassy about 20,000 times.
Well, yeah. But we literally left. Was it Canggu? I think it was Canggu where it happened, and we immediately left Canggu and went to Kuta.
Yeah.
Or Seminyak? I can't remember which one we went to first. But we like left Canggu straight away because we started getting really uncomfortable there. Just because of what had happened. Like it was no more dangerous than it had been beforehand. It was just that we felt a lot more uncomfortable.
what advice do you have specifically for female travellers then for trying to stay safe when you travel? Because I think that's something that a lot of people worry about, and we get asked quite a bit.
I think like just making sure that, you know, obviously you're going to want to take a bag with you. I'd always make sure that if you're going to take like an actual bag, have like make sure it's a crossbody one. Like make sure that anything like your passport and stuff is in a safe or like locked away in your bag. If you're worried about your money, then like get one of those like money belts that you can get that goes under your clothes. And like at least then you don't have to worry about it as much. You can keep sort of any money, cards, that kind of thing there, and then just have your bag for like, you know, random crap, lip gloss, that kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
You can also
But, like I think
oh.
you know.
One thing we did a lot was that we'd always double check if there was female only hostel rooms. So quite often in a lot of hostels, we would like, and sometimes they were a little bit more expensive, but you were way more at ease. Not that anything bad happened when we were in any of our hostels at all. Like we were really lucky. Most of the hostels we stayed in were amazing, even if they were sort of all genders. But there was a few hostels where we stayed in girls only rooms and like that was where we made some really good friends and stuff, just because, you know, girls stopped chatting about nothing.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that was one thing that we would do sort of every now and then. And also like just try not to go places on your own. Like if you can go with a group, go with a group. But, you know, it's just being sensible. Like the same stuff in the UK, like do abroad. Like in the UK you wouldn't leave a nightclub on your own to go out to the middle of nowhere. Don't do it in like a foreign country, especially one that you don't understand the language or they don't understand you. Sort of try and have a rough idea of where you are at all times.
Before being robbed though, I don't think I felt unsafe anywhere that we went to. I don't think there was a time where I felt like really unsafe until after that happened. And even then, after like that happened and we went to a different country, once we went to New Zealand, once we went to like Australia, I didn't feel unsafe again. It was only because like it was so close when we were in Bali after that I felt uncomfortable.
Yeah, even like just leaving Canggu, we went from Canggu to Kuta, and like Kuta's obviously one of the biggest touristy bits, but it sounds like even though it was so busy, having that many tourists around does sort of ease you a bit because you're all you don't stick out as much.
Yeah.
Whereas like Canggu, it's a lot less touristy. They know that everyone there is a backpacker, and so chances are they'll have a passport. They'll have sort of those stuff on them. Change your environment. It's common sense. It's like the same. Yeah, it's common sense, I think. But yeah, I didn't feel unsafe when we were traveling. Really. No. Even like getting on strange men's motorbikes in Vietnam, like didn't seem that much of an issue.
Oh yeah.
Like.
Yeah.
Why did that not seem an issue? Were you worried? Did you just trust that they knew what they were doing? Or...
I mean, they were the ones that we hired to drive us around like Phong Nha.
Yeah.
So we just kind of knew that we, you know, trusted the service that the hostel were offering.
Yeah. Yeah, they weren't random men off the street.
Did you drive a scooter at any point yourself?
We did in Thailand.
Yeah, when we were in
and a bit in
Bali, we hired scooters.
And a tiny bit in Ubud.
Oh yeah, we did in Bali, didn't we?
Yeah.
Yeah.
How was your first experience on the scooter? What was it like?
A bit rocky. May or may not have almost broken my leg.
Well, I take it you survived.
Yeah. You have to remember, I didn't have a driving license. I didn't have a driver's license. So, like, I had no idea what I was doing. I was just sort of following Megan. And then there was, like, we were trying to get to this beach, and there was, like, a massive ditch. Do you remember? There was, like, a massive ditch, and Megan had, like, gone through
Yeah,
the
I
ditch and
remember.
stopped. So I went through the ditch and then last minute realised I was about to slam into Megan. So I had to like scoot out the way and like got like my leg like trapped under the bike. But it was
Just went,
fine. It was just a bit bruised and small. It was fine. I could walk, like there was no damage.
Oh, great.
Nice.
But apart from that, it was dead easy to do.
It was fine.
Like it wasn't
it was fun.
hard. As soon as you got the hang of it, it was kind of like you knew what you were doing.
I think this perfectly segues into the question: what is your worst ever travel mistake?
Start with Rachel.
Keeping my passport in my bag. Or almost breaking my leg on a moped.
I feel like this is becoming a list. Carry on.
Not
Yeah, how long's the
realising
list?
that I was allergic to mosquito bites before I went.
Oh my god,
Using a towel as a defence mechanism
So what
in a
happened
Nerf
there?
gun war. Oh, with the mosquito, basically when I got bitten, they would like swell up and be like really gross. So I just had to go and get like steroid cream from like a weird, like a little Thai pharmacist. They just gave me this cream that seemed to work, which also got stolen in my bag.
How did you explain it to the pharmacist?
She literally looked at them and just went, like allergic to mosquitoes. This is what you need. I think she was just very used to like backpackers coming in with the same issue. But yeah, it wasn't anything major.
yeah.
That's my list.
And Megan? List.
I would probably say
We asked for
'cause
one.
before we got robbed, before like the robbing happened, we were with two girls that we were friends with, and they got a taxi before we did. And like, I wish we'd been like, "Oh, can we just hop in your taxi?"
Yeah.
And like shared it, because then obviously we would never have got robbed, and we'd have never had that horrible experience, possibly, potentially. But like, you know, it wouldn't have happened the way it did. And I think that's probably the biggest mistake I'd say we made. But apart from that, I don't think we made. Oh, and also going to the airport the day before the actual flight.
Yeah. I think one mistake we
Talking
made.
to these two really weird guys before Fraser Island. That would probably
And then agree
be
to a
on
podcast a
there.
few years later.
Yeah,
Um,
but also that led to the best karaoke session I've ever done.
It did. You were, yeah.
you were on.
What with three Dutchmen?
Who'd never heard of Mr. Brightside.
I know.
What, the Dutch guys?
Yeah.
They're not.
No,
No,
can you remember what song that you sung?
I didn't sing. I don't do karaoke.
Of course. Meatloaf at the end.
Oh yeah.
We definitely sung Meatloaf.
You can't say you weren't singing that night, Rachel.
I
you
sang
just
in a
doing
group.
this
I
on
didn't do a
camera?
solo.
Yeah.
I would never, because I don't solo at karaoke or
Oh
ever.
no.
Do you not remember your solo you did, Rachel?
Yeah.
I wasn't that drunk.
Most of these were duets, weren't they?
I'm trying to find the videos.
Are you sure?
Yeah.
Oh,
But you-
God, please
what
don't find
videos?
the
I
video.
have no idea what you're talking about.
Rachel. No.
Oh my goodness.
It's quite a long
So
call.
no.
karaoke in Brisbane was actually something that we'd planned after old dear,
I just found
after Fraser.
a picture of Morgan in a
Rachel,
bra.
no. Oh, please make sure that goes in the recording.
From what I remember, we don't know whose bra that is.
No, I don't.
We do. It was the strippers. It was the strippers' bra.
But they were
You don't remember? What was her name?
I'm not commenting on this, Morgan.
from what I remember, they were wearing
100%
bras.
It was the stripper's bra.
Oh, I found the
Sorry,
videos.
Morgan.
Yeah, I sung "Sexual Healing" with strippers.
You did
on
a
the stage.
backflip and nearly landed on your neck.
Well, I landed on my feet, so I guess that's close.
But you were in, like, you only just managed to save it. Like, you were so close to landing on your head and, like, snapping your neck. Because you backflipped about 12 times that night. Like, you just kept doing it.
Oh, this is great. I had to up. Yeah, this is great.
Morgan, I think your best method of defense right now is asking another question.
Yes. Who was the best singer? Is that not where you were going?
No.
No. Probably. So Megan wins again.
I'm happy to lose that one.
So
winner.
Okay, we'll move on from Brisbane. Although Straddy was fun, but
It was fun.
have there been any times where you feel you've missed out on something due to poor execution / planning?
Fiji. When we did Fiji, we didn't realise, like, we booked certain places, like, because a lot of it was, like, the diving with sharks or stingrays and stuff that Megan really wanted to do, but we didn't realise the timings. And so, like, by the time the trip was going out to swim with sharks, we had to leave the island. So, like, there was just little timing errors that we made, which meant that Megan missed out on quite a lot of stuff that she wanted to do, which was a shame. I mean, it was still amazing.
I think, yeah. I think the thing that happened was, like, when we booked it, we were trying to book it, like, for so many days, and, like, the website wasn't working. So we had to book it over the phone, and I think they just put 2 of the islands in the wrong order. So, like, because they kind of we were kind of going in a line, and they took us to the one that was, like, further out, and then we had to go back again and then back out, if that makes sense. And the activity I wanted to do, it was, like, the only place in the world that you can go diving with bull sharks without having your paddy. So I really wanted to do it, but we just couldn't do it because of the timings of it. So we had to get on the boat.
And then, what would your advice be to
one of the most
not do this?
Places.
Yeah, it was amazing.
Yeah, pretty much. Just make sure that, like, when you're booking stuff like that, just make sure, like, if it's island hopping and you're getting on one boat to go to all these different islands, just check the route that you're doing. Either go from, like, the start of the islands to the end, or go from, like, the end to the beginning, and make sure you've got your list of, like, where you need to go, and double check that they've got it right.
Yeah. Or I would say, if you're doing something, like, if you're traveling to do a specific activity, plan around the activity rather than trying to fit the activity, like, in your plan.
Yeah.
Like, so, like, if, like, with the bull sharks, we should have, like, planned that was the main thing, and then done the island hopping around that, rather than sort of like, oh, which islands can we do and what can we do whilst we're there. I would also say New Zealand is somewhere that I think we would have planned better if we hadn't had to book it in such a rush.
Yeah.
Because when my passport got stolen, we literally had to book all of the rest of the flights for our travel in the embassy, because they were like, we have to know with your emergency passport, like, where you're going to be at all times. So we literally had to book our flights to New Zealand there and then, and our flight, like, from New Zealand out, which meant that we didn't get as much time as we would have liked to have had in, like, certain areas. So, like, we got to Wellington at, like, 8 p.m. at night and had to leave at 6 a.m. in the morning. And so we didn't see any of, like, Wellington.
Oh, wow.
Because we had to get to South Island. So, just try and plan a bit better, I would say.
So you said Fiji was amazing. I haven't really researched Fiji or been, what were your highlights that you did manage to do on your trip there?
So I'd say the actual like mainland Fiji was like not the best place to go, but the islands off it are incredible. Like, is it the Yasawa and the Manuka Islands or something like that? They were incredible. Like, the island hopping trips that you can do along those are like just so good. There's so many different activities on each island, like so many different experiences you can have. Like, one of the ones we went to was Manta Ray Island, where you could go swim with the manta rays. Obviously, there's the bull sharks that you can swim with, and it's the only place in the world that you can do it without your diving certificate. We went to a place called Blue Lagoon, and there was like all these caves that you can go swimming through. We got sang to by like the local choir at dinner and stuff like that. We did crab racing.
Yeah, it was just like stunning. Like, there was not a single part of any of the islands that wasn't like just beautiful. Like, even islands that had, like, the first island we went to again was meant to be like the party island, but we went there and it was a lot of like, there was a lot of school trips, so it wasn't really like partying, but it was still like just so pretty. And like the blue water, like you could see all the fish. When they would like take you to different islands, like each of the boats that you went on were completely different. So like one of them was like a glass bottom boat, one of them was more of like a catamaran sort of thing. They were just, and there was like we made little bracelets with like shells that we picked up off the beach, like, and the food was unreal.
Oh my god, the food was so good.
The food, it was like really like fresh fish.
Like, there was traditional dishes.
Yeah.
There was like,
yeah, it was amazing.
yeah, traditional stuff, like stuff that you could get anywhere for people that are fussy, but like, oh my god, the food. And also we took part in like a ceremony that they usually do, like if a new like chief is put into place, and you had to drink, I can't even remember what the stuff was called.
No, but it was like
you had
mud
to drink
water.
It, and apparently it makes you feel like you're drunk eventually. It was like mud water, yeah. It was from a plant, like the roots of a plant, basically. And they like wrung it out through a cloth and stuff like that, and then you had to drink it, and like there was a certain ritual you had to do before you drink it around the group, and like of clapping your hands and stuff like that.
It was nice.
It was just really interesting to learn about.
They found like really nice ways to sort of teach you bits of culture without making it like really in your face or like really like lectury, or like they just made it really nice and really fun, and like they understood that a lot of people that go to Fiji unfortunately don't care about their culture, but there are people that are willing to learn, and like they try and find nice fun ways to like educate people a little bit, which I thought was really nice.
So if you're planning to go to Fiji, what sort of how long do you think you should plan your trip to be?
I wish we could have stayed for longer.
Yeah.
I think we did the islands for like 5 days, and then we did 2 days either side on the mainland. But I wish we'd have been able to do like maybe like 8 days doing the islands, and then sort of just do the day on the mainland, like either side.
What was the place on the mainland that when we were driving to the airport, he was like, "Oh, that's that bit," and we didn't know. Can you remember? It was a really famous bit.
Oh, I can't.
No.
It was something from a. Yeah, it was like something from a film or.
Yeah, and he was like, "Oh, you should do that."
I can't
and we were
remember.
like, we had no idea that it was there. Like, no one told us about it, and it was like, "Oh, that's something we could have done whilst we were on the mainland." But yeah, the mainland wasn't anything too great.
So he told you that you could do it on the way to the airport?
Yeah, he was like, "Oh, did you do that?" And we were like, "No, like we didn't even know that was there." And he was like, "Oh, you should have done it. It's really good." And we were like, "Now you tell us."
Yeah, thanks.
Yeah.
Great, thanks.
Oh, it's going to really annoy me what that is now.
I know.
Well, if you remember it, just randomly say it.
Oh, wait.
Yeah.
Have you, and I know the answer to this, have you done any spontaneous trips recently? Or short trips?
Very, very short day trip. Me and my friend went to Milan for a day because the flight was like £25 return. We flew at like 5:30 in the morning, got to Milan at like 8:30, and then we got the train straight into Milan Central and wandered around for the day, did like the Duomo Cathedral. We went to like the main shopping centre that's by it. We went to the middle finger statue. We went to go and see the middle finger statue. Just to, give the example. You're welcome. No, it's like basically like it's literally a statue of someone giving you the finger. And they had it in Milan when they first put it on, they got loads of complaints about it, and they decided to keep it up for the exact reason of what the middle finger is.
Good for them.
Good.
And then
Good for them.
we went to the canals and like got the like electric scooters up and down there, had loads of food, fit all the major Italian food groups into our day of like Milanese risotto for breakfast. We had pasta for lunch, we had pizza as a snack, like gelato. We got it all in there.
The food tour by that point.
Amazing. That sounds like such.
And then flew home at like 10:30 and got to sleep in my own bed again.
And then came to London with me.
That's amazing.
It was great. Yes.
Who came up with that idea, and how when did you plan it?
So we saw people doing it for Rome on TikTok. And we were like, that's a really cool idea. Like, I wonder if it's actually doable. So I went on this website looking at cheap flights, and I said to my friend, like, oh, there's a flight to Milan, like, next week. Should we just book it and take the day off work and go? And she was like, yeah, right. It was just like a random Wednesday.
That's amazing. I remember being very jealous when I saw it on your Instagram.
Oh my god, it was so much fun. It was just the most random thing to do, but it was so worth it.
Oh, I bet.
And I feel like it was enough time. The only thing that we didn't do while we were there was Da Vinci's Last Supper because the tickets had sold out when we got there.
I can't believe they turned up at the airport a day early.
I can't believe they got robbed.
That was... Wow. That was a good episode, wasn't it?
Just all the stories from this interview so far is just slightly insane.
Yeah, I think we were going insane talking to them about them.
Yeeting ducks.
The throwing ducks. I went to Fonglar, I never did any of that.
People
I'm
getting
not sure if I
massages
missed
next
out.
to cows.
The ducks tickling your feet.
Yeah. These two do travel very differently.
It is this weird travel. But if you want to listen to more and you want to also share the secrets so more people are learning all these invaluable tips, I don't know, what should they do, Will?
Well, they also need to listen to the next episode coming out, which is part 3 of this interview, because we've got so much information and knowledge coming out and just silly stories, which are half the fun to do for interviews.
All right, perfect. Let's roll the outro.
Yeah, let's make it happen. I hope that you can handle going on adventures, best kept secret travels. Yeah, all over the globe, having fun, you know the deal. Amazing secret locations, hang out with Morgan and Will. Educate and entertain, haggle in the market, sharing their experiences. Time to get it started. Let's go.